Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Hot Mic with Lady She podcast. I am the host, Lady She. Men, where art thou series. This month has been blessing my heart so much. First of all, I just want to thank every king, every male, every man, every father, husband, leader, mentor, preacher who has come on this platform thus far. I promise you, I have never been so godly proud of our men if it wasn't for this series. Just want to once again tell you guys that I love you, we love you, and we are rooting for our men to win. We are rooting for you to be in place and be bold as the heads of your households, as the leaders of your families. It's just so much, man. And I'm just thankful for, you allowing me to give you a space to share your story, to share your advice, your input, to bless other men. So tonight is no different. This one is special to me. This is my family. This is one of my favorite cousins. I'm talking about favorite as in I wanted his approval when it came to my husband type favorite. So there's a different type of respect that I have for this gentleman. I can't think of a time where we haven't spoken and we just didn't, connect and have energy and encourage one another. So that's what I want him to bring on tonight for the men. So welcoming my cousin, Mr. Kenneth.Jones, once a Wyandanch resident, now in the ATL doing his thing. Welcome my cousin, Mr. Kenneth.Jones of Broad Light LLC and Lightning Spikes Track Club. Let's welcome him in. He clapped for us.
Hey, listen, in the immortal words of Snoop Dogg when he got his star, I want to thank you, and last but not least, I want to thank myself. What's up, cuz? How you doing?
What's going on, cousin? Listen, sir, you heard what I said. Is that times infinity. You know what the vibes are with us. Love you to pieces, love you to life, and I'm thankful for our relationship. Like I said to the people, I respect you so much. You about to make me emotional, fam. You about to try to make a thug cry, but listen,
hey.
I want you, who you've been to me. I just want you to give a glimpse of that, to the people at such a time as this, with our men going through so much. Just share your story and just do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Period. So welcome, Kenneth.Jones of ATL.
Thank you. Well, let's say Kenneth.Jones of New York.
Yeah, I knew he was gonna correct me. That was a setup, y'all. That was a setup.
Yeah. But listen, right? So I want to say this, right? I have, our family is big. We have, family everywhere.
That's a fact.
And for me, I've been able to build a relationship with every single family member, or family household, that we have. And I will say this: I think my sister is a little bit older than you. She's my baby sister, but you're right there with her. I look at, and it's so crazy because you have the same complexion as her. You spit fire like her. And I'm just like, anytime I think of you, or I mention you to other people,
right?
I don't call you my cousin. It's my little sister.
Yeah.
So you already know. And the things that you are doing currently, the favor that's on you, right, is a true blessing. And I will say this: when I tune in, I don't get the chance to tune in a lot because I'm not live anyway.
Right.
Watch the replays, but. And this, I don't know if this is if I might get smoked by fire and brimstone for saying this, but for you, I'm going to say this, and I don't say this lightly, but when you're walking, people uh people want to touch your robe.
Mm.
You,
Wow.
you understand what I'm saying? Because the platform that you have is touching people. Okay, so I don't say that lightly, and you already know what I'm saying when I
Yes, I do.
say that. People, if they don't even have a conversation with you, they want to at least touch your robe.
Mm.
Okay,
Whew.
so
Amen. I received that, and humbly I received that. Like I said, you know the vibes, the conversation that we have before just leads it to the energy. But it's all I can say that is God. It's God. And thank you for your kind words. And I'm just being obedient. And I know that He had me have you come on at this particular time for a reason. So whatever He's doing, we just don't want to miss God. That's where we at right now. We
there
just
it
don't
is.
want to miss God. So thank you, for accepting my invitation, um, and showing up. You know what I'm saying? Showing up because I know you're gonna be you. That's all I really want. That's all I'm really asking for because I know you're gonna be nothing else but you. So that's all. That's all we need. And that's all the people need. At this time. So if you want, you can introduce yourself as you see fit, and we can go from there.
Well, you guys already know the name. My name is Kenneth.Jones. I am formerly of Wyandanch, Long Island, and that has an interesting story to it as well.
Okay.
I was there for uh, I left Wyandanch in '91. I was 22 years old, I believe, '91. Came down to Atlanta for 2 years, '91 to '93.
Mhm.
Everybody does it. Atlanta wasn't ready for me. I can't say I was ready for Atlanta, but Atlanta wasn't ready for me. So I stayed down here for 2 years,
Mhm.
came back to New York, and I was in New York from '93 to '99. And honestly, some of the best years of my life, because I came back, worked on my trade. I was, and let me back it up, right? Graduated Wyandanch High School, 1987. Yeah, I'm dating myself.
Woo!
But graduate '87, went off to a school upstate New York, SUNY Delhi. School
Okay,
wasn't for me
John.
at the time. Yeah, give it up to Delhi. Wasn't ready for me, or I wasn't ready for it at the time.
Mhm.
And it was extenuating circumstances. My father, he was a man of the street.
Right, right.
Um, he actually passed away when I was a senior in high school. He was 36 years old, right? And it's therapy for me, when I say this, and because it's in the family. My father was an alcoholic,
Mhm.
had cirrhosis of the liver, and IV drug user. You know
Right.
what I mean? And I'll just say that, that really affected, uh, me a lot,
Mhm.
and not just me, but the whole house. And my story is not, you know, uh, the, my story is not some random story, because that's what it was in Wyandanch.
Right, right, right. Yeah, it's share with them if you can, like the atmosphere of Wyandanch. A lot of people when they think of New York,
Oh,
they hear the rap music, they all automatically think Brooklyn. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying, the Bronx and all that. I'm like, Long Island is its own world,
Let me tell you
but it's
something.
it's serious out here.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Wyandanch was its own borough.
Right.
You know what I memean? And it's less than 2 square miles,
Hmm.
but it's its own borough. You had drugs, you had prostitution, you had some of everything.
Right.
But at the same time, it was the greatest thing, because we had cats like Rakim,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Rakim, yeah.
We had Groove Beach Chill,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's my man Bilal and Gene and Daryl Mitchell, who Daryl Mitchell, he's doing his thing, aka Chili Dog.
Really
He's
do, yeah.
Fear the Walking Dead, been in, darn near, 30 movies,
Mm-hmm.
and then my little cousin, Chad Mohammed, caliber, right?
Mhm.
So it's a lot of stuff, a lot of things that happen in Wyandanch. And then we had the local, Long Island hip hop artists coming through there all the time,
Right.
right? EPMD,
Mm-hmm.
right? Biz Marquee.
Biz.
Everybody wanted to
Biz.
come to
Yeah.
Wyandanch, you know? And for me, it was great because it was rough, but it was great because we had so much culture,
Right.
you know, and not to glorify it, but the drug game in Wyandanch was crazy. The music, the house parties, everything. And the crazy thing is, we wanted to go to everybody's town and do whatever, but didn't want no one to come into our town. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had it on lockdown. So, it was really good. And that growing up in that shaped my life
Mm-hmm.
to who, I am today. I got a few people that I could thank right off the rip, but that shaped my life and literally what I'm doing today. With
Right.
my
Right.
father the way he was, the town the way it was. It was crazy. And so I'll say this: when I graduated high school, I went off to Delhi. I didn't even finish a full semester.
Right.
Um,
So what
came,
happened?
um, it was just crazy, doing a lot of stupid stuff, um, and not having my dad or a male role model. I did at the time. I did. My father's brother
Mm-hmm.
was a role model to me, but he was fresh in his marriage and relationship.
Right.
So I was taking in what he was saying, but I wasn't really taking in. You know how you people always say, "Okay, you hear me, but are you
Listen.
listening to me?"
Yeah, that's the
Right.
thing.
So I
Hmm.
was hearing what he was saying, but I wasn't really listening.
So now was that because of the inconsistency? Because now he had his own family to deal with, and so he wasn't as hands on like you would have needed. Like what was
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Well, I don't know if I would say that. It was just that he was new in his relationship and getting married, and he was late in the game getting married. I think he was almost 30 or something like that,
Okay.
which can't be mad at it.
Right. Right. Right.
So, but he played an integral part because after I came home from Delhi, and that was crazy too because I was known all over the campus, just doing dumb stuff. Like there was a cat from Deer Park that was already at the school
Mhm.
when I got there.
Deer Park is
Before I
another
got,
town in Long Island.
yes,
Mhm.
but it's this is funny. My nickname is Nice. Everybody in Wyandanch knows me as Nice.
Mhm.
I go up to the school in the middle of my senior year, and before I went up there for a campus visit.
For yeah, tour.
Yeah, and I get up there, and me and my partner, who I was going up there with, we start walking around the campus, introducing ourselves, and I'm telling people where I'm from and stuff like that. And then they're like, "Oh, we got a cat from Long Island here too. He's from Deer Park. His name is blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Oh snap, yo, that's my dude."
Right. Right. Right.
So, long story short, I go back home, but while I'm back in Wyandanch, my man tells everybody, who I am, all of this stuff. So by the time I got up there in the fall, everybody on campus knew who I
Right.
was. And it was just, it was a lot of debauchery, I'll say that much. Right. But let me get back to this point. So I come home and I'm home from 87 to eight. So from November 87 to I want to say January of '89. I was just floating in space, just trying to figure out what to do. Couldn't find a job, couldn't hold a job. And then I met this young lady, and her parents took a liking to me.
Mhm.
Her father thought uh, I was very intelligent, but I was just doing dumb stuff,
Right. Right. Right.
right? So he kind of took me under his wing, and started treating me, like a young man, not
Right.
like a kid.
Hmm.
And right around this time in '89, I went to my uncle, and my uncle was telling me he was in school, right?
Wow.
He had switched careers, and here he is in his 30s. He switched
Right.
careers, and I told him that I should go back to school, right? One of my other partners, was going to this school, and he talked me into coming with him. And I told my uncle, I said, "Yo, uncle, I'm thinking about going back to school." And he was like, "Yeah, get
Hmm.
back
Right.
in school.
Yeah.
You don't need a degree.
Hmm.
Get a certification,"
Right.
which is what I did. And I'll say this: degrees aren't for everybody, but
Hmm.
you do have to have some type of formal training,
Right.
right? You have to have it no matter what.
Hmm.
Unless you're just going to go out there and you have instant funding. You
Hmm.
have to have some type of formal training
Right.
to get yourself started.
Right.
So, in the grand scheme of things, I went back to school. I got a certification, and I graduated December '89
Mhm.
in telecom, and I've been in telecom ever since.
Awesome. So
So,
explain what that is to people who are not clear.
right. So, telecom is short for telecommunications.
Hmm.
You can wrap up a lot of stuff in it, whether it's IT, broadband, wireless, all of that gets wrapped up all into one,
Right.
right? So, I before I even graduated that school, I took the test for New York Telephone. Some of you people on here don't even know what New York Telephone is, but it's Verizon.
Right.
I'll just say that much. So back in the '60s and '70s, they had the Ma Bell, right?
Hmm.
And it was a bunch of baby bell companies. The FCC, the government, they broke them up and they
Hmm.
became their own entities. And from that, New York Telephone came out of it.
Right.
And it went from New York Telephone to 9X to Bell Atlantic and
Wow.
now Verizon.
Next. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I got hired on at New York Telephone, and I graduated top three in my class because
Nice.
I was just focused,
Yeah.
right?
It was
I
go time
graduated,
now.
yeah, yeah,
You was like, I done did the dumb stuff. Let's go.
exactly. I was
Hmm.
just focused, and graduated top three. And with the phone companies, the way they do, they'll test 30 people at one time and only hire three people.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Hmm.
I was one of the three people that got
Dope.
hired.
Dope.
And the crazy thing is, they hired three of us on the spot after we took the test. I'm the only one that ended up working for them because one of them failed his drug test.
Oh
And that's
snap.
another thing for all you kids out there, listening, stay off the drugs. I don't
Gotta
care if
do it.
anybody says, I got the tea that you could drink or what have. No, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that's been my thing throughout my career. There's always a random drug test coming up.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, so I took the job with the phone company, and I've been doing this ever since. Right
Awesome.
now, been doing it for different companies throughout my career, and the crazy thing is making money for board of directors who I don't even know.
Wow.
And just recently, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, went out on my own and said, you know what? I'm tired of making everybody else money.
Come on in here.
It's time for me to make my own money.
That's the one. So now
Yeah,
let me pull back a little bit because I wanna kind of draw the picture. So grew up in Wyandanch. Like we know that Wyandanch was no joke. It's still that way. Actually, it's still that way. But just making it out is a big deal. Period.
it is a big deal.
Let me just say that. So grew up in Wyandanch. Now how many siblings was it?
Three.
Three of
Me,
you.
right. Me, my brother, my sister, and I'm the oldest of three.
Okay, so you're the oldest of three. It's your mom and your dad and your two siblings and you, and you're the oldest. Your senior year, you lose the head of the household, right?
Tough, man.
Yeah. So now I just want you to share, because what was significant about what you've already shared is you had an uncle that you basically kind of looked to when your dad passed away. And then a young lady's dad saw you and was like, okay, he doing stuff because he don't have no male role model. So let me kind
Right.
of take him under the wing. And these two together kind of got you to a headspace where you like, I got to do something different.
Exactly. Exactly.
So tell me your thoughts on the devastation of losing your father and then trying to find your way.
So I'll say this: it was very impactful because of the way my father, you know, the reasons why he passed away. You
You
know what
care
I
to
mean?
share with us?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's tough, but it's therapeutic. And when you're an IV drug user and you're sharing needles, you already know what comes next after that. And back then, they didn't. They couldn't tell how AIDS and HIV and how all of that was happening.
Right,
You know,
right.
so it was
It was like theories and speculations and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Nothing.
But he was
Yeah.
he was 36, and I always say, you live by the street, you die by the street.
Right,
You
right.
know, and so yeah, that's been very impactful. Like because of him, like me and my father didn't have a lot of conversations. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Not real conversations. My brother had real conversations with him. I'm not sure about my sister because she was young.
Hmm.
I want to say she was 13 when he passed. But my life has developed because of who he was.
Mm,
I don't drink. Well, I drink, but not the way he did.
right.
I have a glass of wine, or I'll sip on some bourbon while I'm smoking a cigar. But
Mhm.
you know,
Nothing crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And, as far as drugs, nothing. And uh, I'm at a point in my life now where I mentor not just kids but adults
Right.
and tell them, these are the things that, doing this type of stuff, having a reckless lifestyle
Mhm.
will lead you to,
Right.
right? Loss of income, loss of love,
Yeah.
loss of life,
Hmm.
right? That's what happens with it.
Right.
So, with him being the way that he was, it made up my mind to not ever put myself in a situation like that.
Right. Right. Right.
Ever. And I was in a rush to leave Wyandanch.
Yeah.
I was in a rush to leave Wyandanch. And the crazy thing is the crazy thing about it is Wyandanch is named after my forefather, right? My mother is a Fowler, and Fowlers are big in Montauk tribal family, right?
Is that explain what that is?
So I'm Native American.
Native American. I just want you to be clear.
Yeah,
Make it clear.
yeah. So I'm part African American, Native American, indigenous,
Right.
regardless. The Montauk tribe out of
Right.
Montauk, Montauk, Long Island, and my mother's maiden name is it's pretty well known in the indigenous culture in Long Island. My
Hmm.
grandfather was a big deal. He is in the Hall of Fame for softball.
Wow.
So it was, yeah, it was a really big deal. It's crazy. When I became a telephone tech, I would go to people's homes and fix their phones and fix their cable, and you know how old people talk sometimes, right? Back in the days,
Right.
you look so familiar. You look like you could be some kin. Who your family is?
Yeah.
You know? And I would always say, who I was, but then I would say, my grandfather is so and so, and
Hmm.
they used to say, oh man, your grandfather was such a big deal, blah blah blah, and which is crazy because I didn't know that he was a big deal, when we were growing up. We was just
Right.
like,
Right.
oh, that's just pop pop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was it was it was deep to say the least.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
So your mom never like shared stories connected to your grandfather. So she just like they'll
mm,
somebody mention it. Like, what was that about?
it's crazy because like not really. We didn't. It's almost like if you got how you have well known you got these celebrities and they have kids and their kids are just like, oh, that's just my dad,
Right, right, right.
that's just my grandfather, like Michael Jordan's kids don't really in the beginning they didn't look at him like, yo, that's
Yeah,
Jordan, my
yeah.
father's Michael Jordan, nah, and that's how we were with my
Got
grandfather.
you.
This was like,
And so
that's just
what was the last name? Because Jones is your dad's last name, correct?
right. Jones is my dad's last name. Fowler is my mother's maiden name.
So Fowler.
And,
Got you. Got
so in the Montaukett tribe, you have the Fowlers and the Pharaohs, who
you.
were, you know, some of the leaders. And Wyandanch is named after Sachem Wyandanch.
Wow.
And that's crazy to know that the town is named after, my and I have lineage with him,
Right.
right? When my uncle did the math, Sachem Wyandanch is like my great uncle times seven.
Crazy.
And the fact that I was in a rush to leave Wyandanch,
Mm,
is crazy. And now it's crazy because, here I am, 50 plus, sometimes my heart yearns to go back. Hearing the stories that I hear about it now, I'm just like, if you guys only knew who this man was,
right.
y'all wouldn't really, act the way you do. You'd be,
Moving. Yeah.
trying to pump up, Wyandanch and who he really was. He was a great leader, you
Hmm.
know.
Wow.
So, but yeah, in the grand scheme of things, I was in a rush to leave Wyandanch, ended up leaving, came down to Atlanta for 2 years. Uh,
So
Atlanta.
what made you do Atlanta?
Um, I needed I needed a break from New York. I, wanted to experience something different.
Right.
But the Olympics hadn't come here yet. It didn't get here till '96, so it was still, to me, it was backwards. You
What's
know,
that mean?
um, they didn't have mass transportation. They didn't
Oh,
no subways. MARTA wasn't here yet. They only started building MARTA, excuse me, they only started doing MARTA because of the Olympics coming here.
wow.
And I mean, truth be
I had no
told,
idea.
MARTA still hadn't expanded the way it wants to expand, the way it needs to expand.
Right.
So they have, and it's crazy. This state was a blue state for all y'all, that's
Right.
in the
You
politics.
know.
You got your red states and you got your blue states.
Hmm.
This was a blue state up until '99.
Hmm.
And because of them gerrymandering the districts, it became a red state. But now it's trying to trend back to blue.
Back to blue.
We
Right.
got two Democratic senators. We got Stacey Abrams trying to
Yeah.
the governorship here. So
Hmm.
Atlanta's trying to get back to where it was,
Hmm.
in the early '90s. But again, it wasn't ready for me. I wasn't used to not having the accommodations that I had when I was
In New York. Yeah.
so I came back to New York, went back to work for actually it was Cablevision Systems that I went back to work for. And and this is the thing I always tell people: whenever you go into a job, if you're a rookie, work on being an SME, right?
What's
And
that?
the SME is a subject matter expert.
Okay.
Find something on that job that you become the expert at,
Got
right?
you.
You always need to find something that
That
nobody
makes you
else
an
has.
asset.
Exactly. Find
Right.
something that nobody wants to do and become the best at it.
Finesse it. Yeah.
Right. And so that's what ended up happening to me. I got on the job. I got really good at doing what I was doing. A year in, they made me the lead tech.
Nice.
And the way the phone companies work, you get back then anyway, you get a job or you get a list of jobs that you got to do for the day.
Right.
Well, it got to the point that I didn't get a list of jobs. They were just like, yo, you know, go help this person. Then after that person, like whatever tech was struggling, I was the cleanup guy. I had to go
Gotcha.
and, whether I needed to finesse,
You was a closer.
customer exactly. So I became the lead tech, and then a year in, I became a construction tech. No, 2 years in, I became a construction tech, and then
Now, did you have to take an exam to
no,
do that, or
no,
just a training?
no, it was just training, and each time they were just like, we need you to take on this role here. So
More money though.
yeah, not really, not really. And to look back at it, now it wasn't a lot of money, but I didn't care because I always said, and I say this to this day, um, I'm not worried about the money. It's going to come to me in the long run,
Say that.
right? Just give me the notch on the belt, and then
Right.
when I look for another position, you don't have a choice but to give me the money.
Because you got the
And if,
background.
right, and if you don't give me the money, then I'm gonna take my expertise somewhere else,
Right.
and they will give me the money, right?
That's the
And
one.
that's what I've done throughout my career, and now it's to the point where now I look for contracts because I have my own business now.
All right, we're gonna get into that.
So, I got to say this, right? So I was I came back to New York. I worked for Cablevision for 3 years, 4 years, and then Cablevision has a fiber company. I'm not sure what it's called now. I think it's called Altice or something like that.
Oh, Altice, right?
Yeah, Altice. But the company back then was called Lightpath,
Okay.
and I got bought in, right? So I went over the light path and all I did was fiber. So, and that was crazy. I transitioned from, copper over to fiber, and I had no, prior knowledge of it. It was just that, like I said, when I interviewed for the position, they thought I was a go-getter and a quick learner.
Right.
And it turned out to be just that.
Yeah.
Couple of months in on the job, they was giving me, big jobs to do. And to the point where in the early mid to late 90s, Cablevision was in 19 different states.
Wow.
And wherever they had a network, they were building fiber. And there were days where I would go into the office and my foreman would say, "Hey Jones, I need you to go home, pack a bag. We're gonna send a car to you. You got to fly out here to Ohio, or you got to get out to New Jersey or go out to Connecticut and fix this network for us."
Got you.
So, by me doing that, and at the same time doing that, I was building. I started to build relationships
Right.
and look for mentors on the job.
There's that word, relationships. Yeah.
Relationships, and I'll be the first one to tell you that. I was creating mentors for myself as I went along, right? And it got to the point where I had this one guy. It was an older white gentleman at the time. He was in his 50s. I was in my late 20s. He took me under his wing, and anytime he had to go out of state to do a job, I want him to come with me. So yeah, literally. So I got to go, around the country. You know what I mean? Northeast region on the company's dime, building these networks. But at the same time, I wasn't just there to build a network. I was there to understand how this state worked,
Works.
how this, like I was going back and forth to Cleveland, Ohio, and going back and forth to Orlando, Florida, and all throughout New Jersey and parts of Connecticut, and I was learning about life. It wasn't just I was working, and that's
Come
the thing
on.
that I tell people all the time. If you're fortunate or blessed enough to go work for a company that's going to send you out of your comfort zone, get up and go.
Taking it all, take it all in.
Exactly, because this is a very fickle country that we live
Mm-hmm.
in,
Mm-hmm.
right? You got right wingers, left wingers. You got some of everybody. It's very fickle.
Right.
And the thing that you always want to know, what you're up against,
Right.
right? Not just in your town, in your city, in your state, right? Because just like when, uh, not to get political, but when Donald Trump won,
Mm-hmm.
right? A lot of people were just like, I can't believe this dude won,
Right.
right? Yo, we voted. My vote don't count. Yeah,
Right.
your vote does count, but
Mm-hmm.
it's everybody else who voted at the same time. You got to
Right.
understand how these people in Iowa get down. You got to understand how people in North Dakota get down. How
Right.
people in Kansas and Oklahoma, how all of them get down.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then
Absolutely.
when you start to understand how people outside of your environment get down, then your mindset changes,
That's a fact.
and you start to understand how to move about life.
Yeah, this thing's
You know what
bigger
I
than you. Mm-hmm.
mean? Yeah, it's bigger than you. I tell people all the time, yo, listen, don't just stay where you are,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now I'll say this. I always tell people, take a sheet of paper, right? This sheet of paper is your box. Put
Mm-hmm.
that box on the ground, put that sheet of paper on the ground, and just imagine that that's your box. Now put one foot in that box, right? A little crowded.
Mm-hmm.
Now try to put 2 feet in that box.
Mm.
Now it's really crowded. Now try to put a family in that box,
Well.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But what can you do? You
Right.
have to start to think outside that box.
Mm-hmm.
If I can't get 2 feet in this box, I got a problem.
Right.
So I need to start thinking outside the box to figure out what I got to do to make myself comfortable. And if I'm married and I got kids,
Mm-hmm.
how do I make them comfortable?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
You can't just get lackadaisical, in your life. Oh, I'm making 50 grand, I make 60 grand, I make 70 grand. No, no,
Mm-hmm.
that's not the end all be all,
Right.
right? Can you retire with that? Can you pay for your kids to go to school with that? You know what I mean? Can you build a house with that? No, you got to start to think outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say this throughout my career, I've done that. I've been able to think outside the box,
Right.
and I'm fortunate. And I give credit to my father, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've done things that he didn't do,
Mm-hmm.
right? I give credit to my uncle because he helped put me on that path,
Right.
to get to where I am. And then, even now throughout my career, my personal journey and my professional journey,
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of, I don't even call them, friends anymore. They're all my partners, right?
Say
Because
again.
they're all my partners. They're not, my family.
Mm-hmm.
They're not they're family, but they're all partners. Like
Gotcha.
you're a partner. You
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm saying? You're by you having this platform and putting me on this platform, that's a partnership,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and I say that to, a lot of the kids that I talk to, and the adults that I talk to. You gotta, you really have to. For me, I look at my relationships as partnerships
Okay.
because I have so many people that I network with.
Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody, because I know people in different industries and, all throughout the country. You could be in Kansas, I'll know somebody in Kansas.
Right. Right. Right.
And if you pick up the phone and say, hey, man, I lost my job, I'm out here in Kansas. All right, hold on, let me make a
Mm-hmm.
phone call for you.
Right. Right.
And
As
that's
you
what I
should.
normally do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the thing. I try to cultivate my relationships into partnerships. And
Right.
my partnerships are not just for me, they're for, everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So, it's all about cultivating a relationship.
Absolutely. So now you in the groove now, you know what I'm saying? They offering you big jobs and things like that. What first of all, you're in Atlanta. Now you all the way into Atlanta. How did you get to a place where you're comfortable and now you start a family? How did that come about?
Well, the family actually started in New York.
Oh, okay.
um, yeah. Uh,
Now with the 2 year break?
it was in '98, right? So
Okay.
I met my ex-wife in '98, and things happened. We decided to move to Atlanta in '99,
Mhm.
and my first kid was born here in 2000 of '99.
Okay.
So, but one of the reasons why we moved to Atlanta was, we didn't want to raise any children in New York, right?
Gotcha.
I wanted, New York is very fast paced,
Hmm.
and
That's why they say if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
yeah, you can,
Mhm.
but I wanted, I didn't want to have to struggle, right? Because I knew what it took,
Right.
growing up here,
Mhm.
especially growing up the way that we did.
Mhm.
And I wanted my kids to enjoy, things that, I didn't get a chance to enjoy, right?
Mhm.
Like my kids took up horseback riding, they
Right.
took up piano lessons. You know what I mean? My oldest is a All-American in track and field.
Hmm.
So I don't know that they would have had that opportunity had we, stayed in New
Stay.
York. You know what I mean? So that's what, and knowing what was already here
Hmm.
and knowing how to navigate around here, it just worked out that, when I told her I wanted to move to Atlanta, she was like, "Okay, let's go."
Right.
And so it worked out. We
Mhm.
came down here. My oldest was born here, and then the second one was born 3 years later.
Right.
And it was good for them. They thought it was boring. You know what I mean? Growing up here, but because what we did was, again, I'm from Wyandanch. My ex is from Deer Park. Not to put her out
Mhm.
there like that, but knowing how I grew up and how the struggle was, we built a house out in the country.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so my kids would always say, "Oh, it's boring out here. Nothing ever happens out here." And me and my ex will look at each other and say, "Yeah, we know nothing happens."
Yeah. Right. This was the goal.
Exactly.
Check
So
box for real.
yeah, so and both of them are grown now and out of the
Mhm.
house and doing what they have to do. So,
Right.
but that's what really brought me down here is you
Right.
know not wanting to
Start a
raise
family.
kids, but I was fortunate when I got down here, and again because I cultivated relationships. When I was ready to move, I made a phone call, and that was it. I made a phone call, came down for a couple of interviews, and that's what got me down here.
Right.
And real talk, I was never an engineer. I didn't go to school for engineering. I went and got a degree, a certification for, to be a technician.
Right.
But because of what I did, up in New York, you know, Cablevision slash LightPath sent me to get all of these certifications.
Certifications.
I got certifications that I could fill up my back wall with.
Right. Right. Right.
So, I made a phone call, had the interview, and I interviewed for an engineering position,
Right.
right? Partner put me up for an engineering position. And the supervisor said, "Well, you got more experience than half of my engineers do on all this equipment." And he
Right.
said, since you read the maps, the prints, you understand how to install, test, and turn it up. This would be an easy job for you.
Right.
And
This
so
is
they
why
gave me the job. Yeah, I had no engineering degree, so they gave me the
love
job.
that. Love that.
Uh,
Dope.
so from that point, I just I worked my way up the up the chain. And again, I did what I always did. I found one person, in every position that I talked to, and I ended up becoming subject matter expert. You
Right.
know, for the company here is Comcast, but I've
Right.
worked for I've worked on Google projects, I've worked on Verizon projects, AT&T the four big players in
Right.
telecom South and Southeast.
Love that.
So yeah, I mean, I worked my way up, and then it got to a point a couple of years ago, and this was from 2000 till right around 2019, 2020. Some I guess you could say extraneous circumstances happened on the job, and I'll just say this: it was a project that came up. Um, and the company I was working for didn't want to take on the project. They said it was too small.
Oh.
Yeah, you know, we don't want this. This is crumbs to us.
Uh-oh.
You know?
Okay.
Ding, 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 ding.
I know
Light
that's
bulb went off. And I said to myself, I said, well, damn, if they don't do it, who's going to do it,
right.
right? So again, having cultivated relationships, I picked up the phone and I called four partners from different areas. None of them I grew up with. I just met them along the way, and I trusted their voice. And I called them and I said, "Hey, listen, there's some work out there coming down the pipe.
Right.
And my company doesn't want it. We should come together and create a business and go after this work."
Let's go.
Right. So it was it was nothing that I had aspired to do. I was always comfortable being in a leadership role, but not really a ownership role.
Right.
But when I thought about, I was just like, the nerve of these people, you know, turning this money down. Money is money. You
Okay.
know what I'm saying? So when I got wind that they turned it down, I called up my partners and I said, listen, I know what I can do. I know what you can do. Let's form like
Let's
Voltron.
go.
You know what I mean?
Ah.
Literally, you
Yeah.
got the head, you got the arms, the torso,
Fact.
the legs. Let's form like Voltron and let's put this thing together. So, in the grand scheme of things, I I had the brain trust of doing it, if I could use that word.
Mhm.
So I don't, even though I was the head of it, I was heading it up. I looked at it as a partnership,
Mhm.
right? On my articles, I'm the CEO
Mhm.
and VP of Business Development,
Right.
but everybody else is VP of their own. You know,
Gotcha.
VP of Engineering, Construction, PMO.
And this is Broadlight LLC.
Yes, this is Broadlight. So in the grand scheme of things, it took us a year to get it up and running.
Mhm.
Not even a year. Close to a year. We wanted to make sure that we were straight. We put everything together first, and then started going after projects.
So
So,
when
but again,
you said sorry to cut you off. When you said we put everything together first, as in making sure everybody was clear on what their area was and how it would come together to make this work.
exactly, we put together all the roles.
Mhm.
Went out, created the business, registered it, IEN, bank accounts,
Right.
all of that stuff that normally comes along with it, and
So
that,
basically, the company's trash became your treasure.
let me tell you something.
Ha ha!
I got another uncle that
I love
always says, my uncle always says, I don't turn down nothing but my collar,
it.
right?
Yes, sir.
I don't care what it is. You can give me, listen, you can say this is a contract for 50 grand.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Well, who to say no to that?
Right, right,
You
right.
know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's how Broadlight got started. It was an idea. It was, you know, the company that I was working for, me and two of my other partners was working for. You know, they was turning down what they call breadcrumbs,
Right.
and you know, come on, why would you?
So
You
so now you said it was seven of you, right?
know, five. It's
Oh,
five.
okay, five of you. So five of you from different avenues, from different states, come together to create this entity off of what the company you were working for turned down.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
then, what was that first initial closing? I don't know what's the language.
So we ended up not getting that business,
Okay.
right? But we ended up lucking into something else, which was a blessing in itself,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And it again, it was what we lucked into was based off of a relationship that one of my
That
partners had.
relationships is it.
So, and you know, so let's jump on this because you and I pre coming on to this, we started to talk about relationships, right?
Right.
And I want to state something about relationships.
Okay. Please.
I have relationships, you know, all over the country, and lately, you know, I just got back from Paris and you know, met some people over there, and now we text each other, you know, WhatsApp back and forth.
Mhm.
So, you know, I'm cultivating relationships with, uh, you know, some people I met over there.
Mhm.
Um, I will say this, right? I'm not overly religious, but
Mhm.
I am spiritual,
Mhm.
right? How your relationship with the Creator is, you can base your friendships in your relationships,
Okay.
right? If you have a loose relationship with God,
Come on, sir.
guess what? You're
Mm-hmm.
going to have loose relationships in your personal and professional life.
Bars.
Period, point
Blank.
blank,
Yeah.
right? For me, you know, my creator is my father, is my best friend, is my confidant. You know, um, he is my judge and jury when I do
Yeah.
something wrong. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? But you know, that's what I have, and all my professional and personal relationships is based off of my relationship with the Creator.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I start my day with him, and I
Mm-hmm.
end my night with him.
Right.
Simple as that. I can pick up the phone and have real world conversations with all of my friends and all of my peers, and we can talk about anything and everything,
Right.
right? Professional and personal, we can talk about anything and everything.
Right.
But for me, it's all based off of the relationship that I have with my creator.
Right.
Right? Again, if you have a loose one with your creator, you're going to have loose relationships with everybody in your circumference.
Right.
Period.
Right.
That's the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say this, you know, and that's the other thing, you know. Sometimes, you know, you have two different type of you know, relationships out there. You
Explain.
have seasonal, right? You have relationships for a season, and then you have relationships for a reason.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out where you fit in that. You know what I'm saying? And if you got to understand, all right, this person is just seasonal. You know, they ain't really, you know, in it for the long run,
Right.
right? Some of my best friends are from high school, and I'm talking about, you know, not even high school. I'm talking about middle school
Right.
and you know, kindergarten. I was talking to one of my partners, you know, last night. You know, I knew his father before I knew him, and I knew his father when I was 4 years old.
Right.
Know what I'm saying? So you know, you cultivate your relationships. You know what I mean? And you should be able to talk to, you know, your friends and your partners about anything and everything. Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, with me and my people, there is no, off limits. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? You want to be an open book and be able to share, right?
Mhm.
So again, I state the fact. My relationship with my creator dictates what my relationship with my friends, my peers, my family, all of that.
Right.
And that's important in everything that you do,
Right.
right? In everything, no matter what. I'll
That's
leave it at that.
yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That is important. Thank you for sharing that. So now the five of you have started this company with understanding that the company you were working for decided they didn't want to do they didn't want to take this other deal. So now that doesn't fall through. God brings forth another deal for you guys to take on. How has that been? Wait, when did you start this again?
Well, so we started it in 2019,
Okay.
and we didn't come to full maturity until really the end of 2020, 2021. COVID,
I was gonna ask. Okay.
yeah, COVID wrecked us. It put a lot of stuff on hold. And we're still dealing with stuff waiting for contracts to come through,
Right, right,
excuse me, because of COVID.
right,
The good thing is now, my phone is ringing a lot now because, the government is opening up.
hmm
And COVID, it showed, like, put it this way, I can guarantee you the company now is not turning down those morsels.
right, right, right.
Because what COVID did was it showed us how much, people out there are struggling with, work and school and stuff like that, right? So what the president did, and what his cabinet is doing is they put money aside for broadband,
Right,
right? They want broadband everywhere,
right.
right? And still, there are still some big companies that don't want to, um, spend the money, even though the government is giving them money. Some big companies still don't want to spend the money to go into these far out regions and place broadband everywhere,
But why
right?
is that?
It's politics,
Got you.
right?
Got you.
If it was
Everything
a
about that.
Yeah, if it was a Republican president,
Hmm.
Republican Congress, and a Republican Senate, it wouldn't be an issue with, signing off on, this money being put out there everywhere. But because it's
Right.
coming from, the Democratic side,
Hmm.
they're hoping that it can uh, stretch out until the next cycle.
Huh.
But
Okay.
yeah, literally. And it's funny. There was I think when Obama was running against Mitt Romney was caught on tape talking about if he won the presidency, he wouldn't have to do anything because the laws that Obama put into place would carry him over into the next one.
Right.
Well, again, it's all about politics,
Hmm.
but every state has gotten millions of dollars, on the low. People don't really know about it. The powers that be know about it. Like here in Georgia, Georgia got $400 million from the government just to place broadband out into the country.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. I was talking again, relationships. I was
Hmm.
talking to another one of my old managers 2 days ago who's out in New Mexico, who was asking me questions about, if I was available, if my team was available, if we had anybody available to come out to New Mexico and, help build the network out there.
Wow.
So, now I'm struggling. Can I find some people, bring them in, and then ship them out to
Ship
New
them
Mexico?
over. Hmm.
His company or the state of New Mexico, they got a couple of $100 million. Every state,
Got their
um,
share.
yeah, the state itself has gotten their share of money.
Hmm.
And for those, the powers that be, if you know how to network in the state, which is what I'm doing here, getting in touch with, people in charge here of their, the civil engineering department, knowing who is funding the money, where it's going, trying to get on the vendor list. And that's the other thing, we're a
Right.
black owned company, right? And for all you people listening, do your due diligence. You can get projects as long as you fill out the proper paperwork
Come
by
on.
being a black-owned company. Like my company, it's 5 of us. We're black-owned. We have a woman. You know, we're indigenous. So when I go do these applications, I'm
All of
putting all
that.
of that on it.
All of that.
You know,
All of that.
we got to recognize that because the
Absolutely.
state, it's almost like I hate to say it, but like Harvard, they got to have X amount of you
Right.
know colored
Yep.
people apply to get in. It's
They
the
even
same
got people.
thing.
They even got people lying about being black so they can get in.
Exactly,
They're doing it.
exactly.
Hmm.
But you gotta know where you are. You gotta understand where you are and how to play the
Absolutely.
political game,
Absolutely.
right? So, so that's where we are right now. We're trying to line up, some projects not just here in Atlanta, but throughout the state of Georgia, and the uh, Atlanta is surrounded by 4 states, 5 states actually: South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Florida, and then we can stretch over to Alabama and Louisiana. And I said that wrong. It's Florida, South Carolina, the edge of North Carolina, Tennessee, and Alabama, and we can
Yeah.
stretch over to Mississippi and Louisiana. And
So what do you, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, that's the other thing, right? So it's crazy because just my one. So the 5 of us, only one is born and bred here in Georgia.
Mhm.
Only one, right?
Wow.
Me from New York, my other partner from Chi-Town, one here, Indiana, and I forget where Shay is from, but I don't believe she's from here in Atlanta.
Wow. So where
So,
do you see the company, in a year or two connected to the broadband, them catching on, or, you know,
so that's
getting
that's
it
a
right?
that's a tricky one
Okay.
because um, I don't want to put a if you put something on it, you may get it and just stop there, right?
Okay.
So I want to leave it open ended. I
Gotcha.
what I want to say is I see us being very busy a
Yeah.
year, right?
Gotcha. That's
Um,
good.
yeah, because like I'll tell you a story, right? And this is I'm gonna jump to something that I had mentioned, in the questionnaire, right?
Mhm.
So it's Habakkuk, right? Habakkuk,
The scriptures.
yeah, Habakkuk 2 through 3,
Great.
right?
Hmm.
Habakkuk 2 through 3. You know, have a vision,
Hmm.
right?
Write it
Write
down,
it
make
down,
it plain.
right? Make it plain. It
Hmm.
may not come when you want it to come, but it's going to come.
It's coming.
And
Hmm.
the thing that I'll say with that is, you have to be faithful while you're asking for it.
Hmm.
But know this: faith without works is dead.
Then, yeah,
Right? You can't be faithful and not put the work in.
put the work in. Gotta do the work.
So, I was telling one of my other partners, I always create a vision board and I write my stuff down. And a couple of years ago, I wrote on this vision board. I said, I asked the Lord to make me a millionaire,
All
right?
right, let's go.
So this is the crazy thing. Just recently I was going back over it and I'm like, man, Lord, what you doing to me? When I'm gonna get there, when I'm gonna
Yeah.
get there. And I had an epiphany, right? And not to put myself out there like that, but actually this was about 10 years ago. And I had an epiphany. And I said, man, it's taking me a long time to get to this $1 million mark. I went to sleep on it. I woke up and I was tossing and turning while I was sleeping.
Hmm.
Like you know the story, you fighting with
Oh
them,
yeah.
right? So I got up the next morning and I went back to my vision boards and I looked over it and I looked at my salary over the last couple of years.
Hmm.
And I started calculating what I had made over the last 10 years. And I said, yo, this, you already know where I'm
Yeah,
going, right?
yeah. Come on,
So,
help somebody.
yeah, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, I did ask to see $1 million. And when I look back at minimum 10 years, it flowed through my hands. Now I don't have it to show for it, but it
Yeah.
flowed through my hands. So, that's the other thing. When you ask him for something, you need to give specificity to it,
Course.
right?
Help
So
somebody.
yeah, look. I'm sitting there, the whole time I'm questioning and I'm tussling with him in my dreams, in my sleep, and I get up and I went back and looked on it and I looked up, I said, yeah, you got me.
He said, "Oh, you
And it
mean
was,
this?"
yeah, and it was like he looked at me, he looked down on me and said, yo, put some respect on my name.
I know that's
You
a
know what I'm saying?
fact.
So,
He
you
said,
know,
"There's no failure in me, son."
exactly. So he
That's
gives you
so.
what you want.
Yeah.
It may not be in your time,
Hmm.
right? But he's going to give it to you, right?
Hmm.
And listen, um,
Love that.
it's puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It's puzzle pieces. Um, he's not going to make it plain for you. He's going to give it to you, but you have to be putting in that work, and
Hmm.
you put in the work. He's going to give it to you, and he will make you understand it.
Absolutely.
In his way, right? So with that being said, so like I'll create a board like next year, and for my board for next year, I don't want to put on there, I want to see this much or I want to see that much. I want to see, month to month, I grab this contract in January, this
Mhm.
contract in February, March. I want a contract for every month.
Right.
Right. And in those terms, that's where I want to see us
Be
next year.
clear. Be intentional.
It's
Yeah.
extremely busy. And again, I always say I'm not worried about the money. I know the money gonna come.
It's gonna
You
come.
know what I mean? Just give me what I need and let us show you what we
It's
can
the
do.
work. Hmm.
And then we go from there.
Love that. Love that.
So,
So now you got your partners in place. The vision is made because the company you're working for was being bougie. So that puts you in a position where you like, yo, I got what we actually need to make this thing work. So now you're in it. So talk to us about. I know we mentioned, you're a girl dad. Talk to us about the track life, because I know you don't play about the track, man. And this came
yeah.
from
So
your daughter's running, right?
yes.
Okay.
So real talk, right? I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna give you some history, some real history, and it's gonna come from me first, right? In high school, I was really good in basketball,
Mhm.
and uh, it's a crazy situation. Again, like I said, it was a little rough, growing up the way that we did. So I wasn't as extroverted as I am now, right?
Right.
I was kind of introverted. When you're in that kind of lifestyle,
Environment. Yeah.
yeah, you don't really talk, a
Yeah.
lot
Got
because there's
that.
other stuff happening,
Right.
right? So, um, yeah. So my mother's chiming in while we're talking. So, you don't really talk much about what you got going on. So I want to say it was either my freshman year or my sophomore year. Um, the coach at the time, I went out for basketball, uh, and the coach of the basketball squad actually had, he was a teacher, right? Social studies. I'll never forget this. In social studies, something happened between me and him in his class,
Okay.
and he kicked me out of his class,
Okay.
right? But I'm a kid. I don't think much about it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't put two and two together that okay, you're a teacher, but you also the basketball coach. As
Oh.
a teacher, you like my attitude. So,
Okay.
you know, here I am. I played on, PAL teams, and I'm going way back. It wasn't AAU back then. It was PAL, Police Athletic.
PAL, right?
Right?
They still have PAL.
Yeah, it ain't as prevalent as AAU now,
Mhm.
but again, I was a beast, man, and I go out for the squad. Wyandanch was a small school at the time. They didn't have JV; they just had varsity. So
Gotcha.
I go
Wow.
out for the squad, and we get down to the last cut. I think I'm going to make the team, and cut me, right?
Woo!
Last cut. So cut me. I'm like, I was a little upset about it. It was a couple of cats on the squad that was like, you should have made the team. You know, Next year comes my sophomore year. I try back out again. Now I know I'm on beast mode,
Right, right.
So, try back out, wait till the last cut again. Cut.
Ooh.
So yeah, it was crazy to me, right? That as good as I was, he would drag it on to the last
That's
cut.
2 years
Yeah.
of dragging it. Okay.
So my junior year, I just said, you know what, man, I ain't even gonna go out. But our cousin, right, Chris' father, Leroy, he knew how good I was. He went to the school and he talked to the coach, and he asked the coach, what's the deal? Why
Yeah.
he squad? And coach said he didn't like my attitude, all because of that.
Right.
And so that had a big impact on me as well, right? And this is how I get back to coaching. So from that point, I just said, you know what, I'm done. I know my worth, right? If things were different, like now, I look at it now, if I had that kind of position, that kind of power, I'm gonna ask the kid, hey man,
Yeah.
you
What's
know,
going on?
yeah, let's have a real
Yeah.
conversation. What's happening in,
Like, how you late? What?
yeah, you know what I'm saying? As a
He dropped
not
that ball.
not just as a person of power, but as a black man in
And he was
general,
black.
right? As a
Yeah.
black man in general,
He missed
you
that.
you should. Um, there's so many fatherless kids out there,
Yeah.
right? And I wasn't fatherless at the time, but it just,
Still.
I was going through it, certain circumstances, and you know, again, when my cousin went and asked him what the deal was, and for him to say he didn't, he didn't like my attitude, that's kind of, to me, it's BS. You need to, again, especially in that town in Wyandanch, you know, um, you need to figure out what's going on, and you have to, if you're around these especially these young men on a day-to-day basis, it's you have to be able to look into what they have going on
Yeah.
and try to mentor them. Every young man needs an older man to help them navigate life,
Right. Right.
right? There's no doubt about it. They have to have that. And I didn't have it at the time.
Mhm.
And so when I look back on it now, if I was in that position, I would have pulled myself to the side and said, "Hey, what's going on,
Yeah.
man? Do you want to talk about anything? You
Right.
know, um, are you? And you don't have to be nosy and ask them, are you struggling at home? But it's what's on your mind? No filter here.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
No filter. Let's talk about it because
Mm.
every child has the potential for greatness.
Yeah.
Right? Every single child that's born has the potential for greatness. So, in my mind, and I was salty for a long time,
I'm
you know,
mad. It ain't even me. Like how
for
he missed that 2 years in a row. You don't ask the
yeah,
child, was something going on, or
yeah.
he
So
had an issue.
literally, and don't
Yeah.
get me Oh, he was a cool dude, man. I mean, outside of us having, disagreement, I think it was something that I was just, I overtalked him in his class,
Mhm.
and he said something, and then, being a, a child still, 15 years old, a child still, I think I talked back to him,
Mhm.
which, kids do it all the time.
Yeah, these things
You-
happen. Like, calm
Yeah,
down, sir.
yeah. You have to be the adult,
You
right?
teaching teenagers, you gonna catch one of those once in a blue.
Exactly.
Come on.
So, I always said if I ever had the chance, I wouldn't let that happen to any kid that I could help out.
Right.
Right. So, cut to the chase. That was another thing that affected me. Now, after high school, I played in a couple of corporate leagues and a couple of softball leagues. I stayed active, and
Mhm.
then when my kids were born, I couldn't, get out there and play, like I wanted to. Uh, and I always carried a basketball in the trunk of my car.
Mhm.
And my oldest, when she was younger, used to always say, "Daddy, can I come with you, to go play or whatever?" Uh, and I would just be like, "Nah, you can't come right now." And then one year, I think she was 6 years old, she came to me, and in my house, even in Atlanta, in my house, it was New York Knicks. You know, it was. I hate to say it for those that are listening. I'm a Mets fan. I'm a Jets fan. Those are the three colors.
Right. That's
Uh,
it.
but it was New York Knicks. Like my oldest, she'll rock a Knicks jersey, and had never even gone to a game. And I was
Right.
fortunate to take her to a game last year when I came up there to spend the time.
Nice. That's
Um, so yeah, in any case, she came to me one year and said, "Daddy, I want to play basketball." So I was like, "Word? Oh snap!" So I'm searching for a basketball league to put her in, and I found one, and it was the GBL Grayson Basketball League, and they had tryouts. So I signed her up for it. Shanice, let me tell you, cuz I bought a basketball set, basketball hoop, and the house I had was pretty big,
Mhm.
big garage, and it was in the wintertime. Man, I put that basketball court in my garage. I striped out the floor, half
Hype.
court, all of that
He
stuff
was hype.
in my garage, and I taught her how to play in the garage. She didn't know how to play, but I
Mhm.
taught her how to play in the garage. Spot up, rebound, all of that stuff. Then she signed up. They had to go through a little like a lottery, and they gave the kids 1 through 5, one being the best, five
Okay.
being the worst. No kid got cut, which I loved about that. No kid
Right.
got.
Right. Right.
She made the squad, or she got picked by this one guy, and during the tryouts, he came over to me and he said, "Yo, I noticed you was giving your daughter pointers on what to do during the tryouts. I need an assistant coach. Would you, mind being
Wow.
my assistant coach?" So I said, "All right, cool. I'm good with that."
Mhm.
Right. So I came on, we had our practices and then we had our meets. But this guy had his hands in a lot of other stuff. He
Mhm.
had two sons that did baseball, football, wrestling. So the first game, he was locked and loaded. Second game came late. Practices,
Uh-oh.
hey, do you mind running these practices for me?
Uh-oh.
Cool. All right. This is what I do anyway.
Uh-huh.
So I started running the practices, and then he just dropped out altogether. So
He
I,
was
I
like,
became
I got my guy. He's like,
yeah.
I'm out.
So I became the head coach of the squad. And what I loved about that league, I was coaching kindergarten to second graders,
Mhm.
right?
They're so cute.
Yeah, real talk. And with that, they allow you to be on the court with the kids.
Hmm.
So I was getting my feeling because I'm on the court, running up and down the court with the kids. You know
Right.
what I mean? Tell them to go to this spot, go to that spot, and how to post up and all that stuff on the court. We never lost a game. That's
Wow.
it.
Dope.
Went to the championship and we won the championship, right?
Dope.
So that was cool. Next year comes, and I decide, you know what? I'm not going to be nobody's assistant coach. I applied for head coach duties.
Mhm.
So, yeah, they bring me on. Now I'm a head coach in this league. Go through the same process where we got to go through the lottery. So, of course, I'm going to pick my own kid.
Right.
But all the parents from last year, they took notice that I was back this year coaching. And, after we went through the lottery, it was about 5 or 6 parents that came up to me and said, "Hey, Coach Jones, we know what you did last year. Can we switch our kids to your team?"
Ooh, on
And
demand.
yeah, so it was unfortunate that I couldn't take those kids because we
Oh,
went through a lottery system. So those kids
kachunga.
were stuck where they were.
Right.
So again, we get into the season. Now, I'm a teacher, right?
Mhm.
I'm teaching the kids the fundamentals of how to play this game, right? The other coaches were just going out there and trying to run plays and just tell the kids to chuck it up. No,
Right.
I'm teaching the kids 3-point stance, pivots, how to shoot. And, with them, I'm teaching them, okay, you're digging into the cookie jar, right? You're digging,
Mhm.
that's how you shoot the ball. So these kids were, they were getting into it. I'm showing them all these moves, and every move that I showed them, right? Because now I'm not just coaching, I'm teaching.
You all the way in.
So
Yeah.
right. So I'm teaching, and these kids get it.
Yeah.
Same thing. We blow through the whole season, right? Don't lose a game, get to the championship, win the championship.
Fire.
So now, everybody, we had some salty coaches, and then the parents, they were trying to figure out, can they petition to do away with the lottery
The
system,
lottery.
right?
Got
Just
you.
so I can get these kids. So yeah, it was the same thing for it was 3 years running that we did it. And then my oldest came to me when the season was about to start up. Actually, she didn't come to me. My ex came to me and said, "I got bad news for you." I'm like, "Ah, what?" And she goes, "Royce don't want to play no more." And
Oh,
I'm like, "What? Are you kidding me? No." So, so
ooh,
it was like, Star Wars, pew pew
dagger,
pew
dagger.
pew. Yeah, man. I'm like, yo, you shot me. Why'd you do that? Now, I will say this. I'm talking about my oldest, but my youngest was a beast in her own right.
Okay.
She did gymnastics, right? So before my oldest took up basketball, she did gymnastics. But you see how my oldest is. She's long and lean,
Oh, yeah.
damn near 5'10".
Right.
My youngest, who I call her Shorty, because she was just, she was short. My oldest, we put her in gymnastics when she was 3 years old, and she did gymnastics up until she was 6, and then she got into basketball. But my youngest, we put her into tumble tights at 18 months.
Wow.
So from that point, she was really good. She
Mhm.
made USA Gymnastics level 3. You got to be 6 years old to get on a level 3 team. She made it before she was 6 years old.
Nice.
So she was that good. And she was so good that, especially on the balance beam, my ex had someone build a balance beam for us. And we actually put the balance beam in the house.
Nice.
So my youngest was practicing on that. In her 6th grade year, she got number 1 in the state of Georgia for the
Oh.
balance. So my kids have it in them,
Mhm.
and that's the thing. Again, as a parent and as a black man, a black father, you know, every child has potential.
Mhm.
So it's up to you to know, that they have it, right?
Right.
My If my kids ask me for anything that was related to their potential, no questions asked.
Done.
You
Hmm.
get it. One year I bought my daughter this $3,000 piece of equipment just for her to, at home, to practice at home just for her to get better.
Right.
So anyway, my youngest was beasting in gymnastics. My oldest dropped out of basketball. But then I said, you just can't stay home. I always believe that, kids have to have both. You got to be good in academics and athletics,
Athleticism.
right? You got to, because both of them, they provide balance in your life,
Right.
right? I'm not knocking anyone that sits home and plays video games. I'm not knocking that. But when we were kids, guess what we did? We was always outside playing. Right?
On a bike or something.
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, before we had cell phones, if you wanted to know where your crew was at, you walked down the block, and if you saw 10 bikes in 1 yard,
yep,
that's where they was at.
Yeah.
You wasn't calling them, that's what you was doing. So in the grand scheme of things, I was searching around for my oldest to get involved in something else.
Right.
It wasn't going to be back to gymnastics. She was too tall for it. It wasn't going to be soccer. But then one of my neighbors had seen her playing with the two boys in the neighborhood, and they were racing each other. She smoked them. And these are two older boys. So he comes to me and he says, "Yo, bro, you got to put her in track. I know somebody." Again, relationships.
Relationships
right?
is life.
So he says, "I know somebody, make this phone call." I make the phone call. I put her on the team. And this was 2009. Now, granted, my youngest was still, doing gymnastics too. But this was 2009 or 2008 into 2009. She gets on this team. She was not good at all. I'll just put that out there. But she became good. She was, mediocre. And then in the middle of the 2009 season, the coaches came to me and said, "Hey, we want to put your daughter on this relay team." She was the youngest. It was the 9-10 relay team. So they put her on this relay team. She didn't have great numbers, but she was good enough for this team to place either first or second every week.
Wow.
Right? And she counted on that relay every single meet. She kept getting silver medal, gold medal, silver medal, gold medal. So I became a track dad. I got really into it, right? And for me, me being my career, I'm more like an analyst, right? I do a lot of, as an engineer, you got to analyze a lot of stuff, right? It's very technical. So I started digging into, how track works, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a track man by nature. I was basketball and baseball and wrestling. So not a track man by nature. But I started, trying to understand it so I can help her out along the way. So that year, her team, we travel all throughout the state of Georgia. We even go into Florida, and we rec shop in Florida. They get a silver medal at the National Club Championships in Florida. So that boosted them to the Junior Olympics in Iowa.
Right.
So here I am. I'm like, yo, my daughter just made the Junior Olympics, and it's in Iowa, and I got to go to Iowa, right? So now, I'm used to traveling, for work, but we wasn't going out to cornfields.
Right.
So we go out to, and my daughter and her team, they had the eighth. Now, like I said, I'm analyzing the numbers, and I'm giving the coaches the numbers. Yo, this is where they rank. If they're second faster, they can come in, with this medal and that medal. So I'm doing all this analyzing. And we get out to Des Moines, Iowa, at the world famous Drake University. For all those that are track fans listening,
wow,
we got the Drake relays. Anybody that has ever been in track and field, they know about the Drake relays.
Right.
Everybody who's everybody that's made it to the Olympics, to the nationals, to the world. you got to know about the Drake relays. So
Yes,
anyway,
sir.
we get out there, and it's a black college.
Right.
In the when I tell you in the hood, it's in the hood. I'm talking about cars parked on the front lawn. People are sweeping the dust off of dirt in the front yard. I mean, it was it was cool. And we get out there, and I'm expecting this is her first year. I'm expecting, all they got to do is half a second faster, and they're gonna come home with a medal.
Right.
Man, they went from 8th place to 16th place. No,
Woo!
right? So we spent all this money to get out there, and and the relays are like the last event or the second to last event of the week.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, right? So this is 2009. Now I'm a full blown track dad. I'm
Oh,
driving
yeah.
kids to and from and all of this stuff, right? So now we leave in Iowa, we go to the airport, and all you hear is kids walking around. All you hear is ching, ching, ching. These kids are walking around with medals and they're bouncing. And my daughter looks at me and she says, Daddy, I want to come back next year and I want to win a medal.
All right.
So I'm like, cool. That's my mind is going off now.
Let's
That's all
go.
I need to hear. So now we get back to Atlanta. Off season happens. Then we start working out, and out the blue, one of the coaches says, "Yo, we want to put your daughter in the long jump." Right. So, and I'm like, cool, whatever. Put her in the long jump, let her run, do whatever. So the season starts to go on, and they don't put my daughter in the relay. They don't put her in the relay because they thought that she just wasn't ready.
Okay.
So I started politicking. No dad should politic. Let me just say that much. 'Cause I don't like it when parents politic.
Mm-hmm.
But I did because I
Mm-hmm.
did the numbers. So during the spring season, she was putting out good numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And then she started, I started to help her out with the long jump. I started analyzing it, the technical portion of it, showing her, yo, this is what you got to do, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, she starts jumping. She starts winning gold medals doing the long jump during the season.
Wow.
Yeah, she was number one in the state for like 4 years running,
Wow.
with the long jump. But so for 2010, I tell the coaches, yo, man, y'all got to get up on this relay team, right? It's they gonna make it to the Junior Olympics based off of the splits that all these girls are running, right?
Right.
She had the third fastest time,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually had to prove it to them by showing them video, and I'm downloading from mile split and all of this, that, and the third. So anyway, they put her on the team. They end up crushing everybody, and we had kids off and on, backing up the 4x1 team. Long story short, they make it again to the Junior Olympics, and this is in Virginia Beach, Norfolk State. Cause let me
And
tell you,
that's you, baby. That's my school.
yes, they make it out there, and they
Another
had
school in the hood.
yeah, they had. Let me tell you, it's really hood over there. Yeah, I've stayed out there a number of times, man. Ooh, it's really hood. So, uh, yeah, I ain't mad at it though. It is hood. So anyway, they make it out there, and they don't have seed time. I think they had the 32nd fastest time in the country, and
Wow.
they get out there, and they're in the first heat because that's what they do. The slowest times they put you in the first heat. There was 8 heats.
Mm-hmm.
They had the fastest time in their heat, right?
Explain what a heat is. I know what it is because we did.
So yeah, when it comes to heat, right, a track will have 8 lanes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the number of teams that you have entered into this particular event, you could have, if you have 8 teams, that's one heat. If you have, 16 teams, then you got two heats. Then it progresses from that point. So in this situation, they had 8 heats. So, you do the math on that. It's that many teams. So we had the fastest time in the first heat, but we had to wait for all 8 heats to finish to see if they made it in.
Right.
They actually made it into the finals.
Okay.
Right? They had the 8th fastest time, which put them in lane 8. So, and my daughter was the lead off in the 4x4. So, and it's on video. We got to post it out on YouTube. It's 2010. And the grand scheme of things, she leads off. Second leg didn't get out fast enough. But then they caught up. And my goddaughter, she ran the final leg. She took us from 8th place to second place.
Wow.
So my daughter and her 4x1 team got the silver medal, right? Second place in the 2010 Junior Olympics as a 10-year-old, right? So that was a blessing. I was so, right? So, cut to the chase. She made the Junior Olympics every year from 2009 all the way up until she stopped running, right?
Gotcha.
And she medaled everywhere that she went. So, blessing, right? So in the grand scheme of things, hold on. That me? Hold on one second.
You good?
Okay. All right. So in the grand scheme of things, in 2015, and understanding um,
Wait,
getting in.
repeat that.
So in 2015, the head coach saw how much I was giving to my daughter and asked me if I would come on as one of the coaches.
Gotcha.
Right. So, I don't do things halfway. I signed up and then I actually went and got my certification.
Go ahead.
And this is why I say, formal training is everything. No matter what, you got to have some type of training if you want to get somewhere.
Right.
So I went and got certified. So now I'm a level 1 USATF track and field coach.
Right.
And I give it all thanks to my kids. And
Yeah.
it really, it wasn't just my kids, it was the other kids that took a liking to me because again, I was a track dad. I was even in the neighborhood, I was the cool dad. Even though I had girls, I'm buying them, race cars, the old school race cars, remote control helicopters and remote control cars. Whenever it snowed, because I had a slope in the backyard, I'm the one that bought the sleds and the
Yeah.
flying saucers, and all the kids in the neighborhood would, come to my house and play. So, I got involved because of my daughters and also because of the other kids on the team. And then, what I started noticing also is, as a coach, especially in you could be a life coach, you could be a personal coach, you could be an athletic coach. It doesn't matter. A lot of times you have single parent households.
Right.
And sometimes you have mothers who have boys, right? I'm gonna always say this: mothers can't teach a boy how to be a man, right? It's as simple as that. Mothers cannot teach a boy how to be a man. That boy has to have a man in his life. And what happens is, we have single parents that will bring a kid out to the team and try out. Some of these kids have attitudes that are, jacked up. Some of them have great attitudes, and all they want to do is They want to improve their life, or they need love.
Right.
It's as simple as that,
Yeah.
because they're not always getting it at home,
Mhm.
right? And that's where not only coaching comes in, but mentoring comes in,
Absolutely.
right? Now, for me, I'm one of those coaches that I'm not just going to have you get out here and perform this this function, this skill set.
Yeah.
No, we're going to sit. I always spend 5 to 10 minutes with my kids when they come down to me at the pit. I'm going to spend that 5 to 10 minutes talking to each one of them about how their day was, how was school, how's your mom and dad doing, how your grandma, how Pookie, how Ray Ray, how everybody doing, 'Cause you gotta get these kids involved.
Get involved.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, it's cool that we out here, learning a skill set, but we also have to help them develop their minds as well, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that's another part of life. If you can't put into the next one, if you can't put into the next one, what's the sense in you being out there?
Right.
Right? And that's how I look at it. And I got kids out there from 6 years old up to 17 years old.
Right.
I don't look at neither one of them different, right? Now, it may take a different conversation, from the 6 year old to the 17-year-old or 18-year-old, but you still have to talk to them. And you
Yeah.
have to treat them like, don't talk to them. Uh, you can't condescend them, right?
Right.
Because some coaches will
Walking
actually
down.
clown a kid. Yeah, you can't do that, right? You got to be able to talk to these kids and build them up, right?
Absolutely.
Now, I always say I wouldn't turn a kid down from learning a certain event, but at the same token, you have to know that kid's skill set and can they pick it up, right?
Right.
Don't have them come down just to come down.
Mhm.
You don't want to, because that's the other thing. These kids nowadays are brutal when it comes to bullying. We
That's the
didn't
first.
have we didn't have bullies like
Woo!
this when
Yeah,
we
it's
was
different.
coming up,
It's
right?
different.
Because now you can sit behind a phone
Yep.
and bully the heck out of somebody or cause a kid to commit suicide.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, right? And that's the other thing. These kids now they're afraid to have a fair one.
Yeah.
Truth be told,
Yeah.
when we was coming up, no, listen, you meet me out here. We're gonna settle this, and then we're gonna speak about it in school tomorrow, and that's gonna
Right.
be
It's
right.
gonna be over with.
Yeah, these kids nowadays they don't even want to. Instead of shooting a fist, they cowardice and want to shoot
Yeah.
guns.
Absolutely.
But in any case, I look at it. So for me, it's the same thing with my kids that I coach. And again, I'm a specialty coach. I'm a long jump coach. Lightning Spikes Track Club. For anybody that's in Atlanta listening, we got a number of clubs down here, but I will say this: ours is a faith-based club,
Mhm.
right? Every year, the team gets dedicated at a particular church. Most of our members belong to one church that they belong to, but we all spread out. And again, we're faith based. You
Mhm.
know, um, everything that we do is based in faith. I
Right.
will say that.
Amen.
So, with that being said, our job is to build these kids up.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
So let me ask you this. You know, being a because what I see the pattern with you is um you seem to always be in a position where God kind of upgrades you and puts you in a space where you bless other people. So you go from just being a dad who, daughter says she want to play basketball. Your energy and your excitement for your child learning about this craft had you the coach. It may have seemed a little flim flam that the coach asked you to do it, but God makes no mistakes. So now you end up being the
Uh,
head coach of that. You know what I'm saying? So then now your dad again, people seeing you with your kids and are asking you to do certain things and you take it another step forward because that's what you've learned, that you need to be making yourself, you know, you make yourself accountable to say, let me get the training I need. Yes, thank you for asking me, but let me be let me be solidified and get my certification. So now
Yeah.
you're like, okay, now I'm a coach, I'm certified. So I not only was asked to be here, I deserve to be here. I have the qualification to be here. So when it comes to being a black father, being the son to a dad who left your life so young, who left your life so young and tragically, what do you say to the fathers? I know you already tapped into it saying, get involved, but specifically, what do you say to the dads of today when you see them disrespecting the mothers and not taking care of their children and, just roaming the world just frivolously, not doing what they're supposed to do? What do you say to them?
Yeah. So, I'll say this for me, um, my kids were a life altering experience, right? Because I was there, I was in the room when they were born, and to watch, and I want to make sure I say it right. No disrespect to my ex, but because I'm giving power to this title to watch this woman, because that's what she was. She was a woman.
Mhm.
To watch this woman give birth, and the uh, the way that she had to give birth. My oldest wasn't ready to come out. They had to go in and get her with a suction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
to pull her out.
Mhm.
So to watch that, uh, in my mind, it was life altering. I was like, there's no way that I could not be
Mhm.
in this child's life,
Right.
seeing what both of them had to go through to get her here,
Mhm.
right? If every single man sat in that room and watched the mother of their child give birth, they would feel the same way.
Should.
Should, right? Should. Because that is a life altering experience. And I went through it twice. The second one was the same thing, right?
Really?
Umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck.
Oh,
Yeah. So
got
they
you.
had to go in and take it off. Her heart rate kept dropping. And I'm sitting there watching that.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, yo, it is such a blessing to have that,
Yeah.
right? So, but first and foremost, every man should be in the room when their kids are born.
Hmm.
Don't be out with your homie, smoking one or drinking
Waiting to
something,
get the
or
call.
yeah, waiting for the call, or even some jokers be at the strip joint. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Why their mothers is, why the baby mama delivering them.
They get the text message. She here.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we got
Listen, Chris Rock said it. Chris Rock said it, right? My only job in this world is to keep my daughters off the pole. That's what Chris
okay.
Rock said, right? So, you know, real, I mean,
Real talk.
I'm not knocking nobody. You make your
Hmm.
money how you got to make money, but
He said, but not mine.
not mine, not mine. So, daddy gonna give you whatever you need, but, but you
Tight, but
know,
it's right.
yeah. So, kids are a gift, right? Um, we only have them for a certain period of time, right? We are stewards of their life,
Yeah.
right? For minimum 18 years. That's minimum, right? And every man needs to understand that, right? We are stewards. That means we are supposed to steer our
Mhm.
kids until they're old enough to steer themselves,
Right.
right? And it starts, the head of the household, the head of the family starts right here,
Mhm.
right? We are the ones that are called to do that.
Yeah.
Any man that believes that that's not true has to sit back and understand what their relationship with the creator is.
All right.
It's as simple as that.
Well.
Again, we are supposed to be the stewards of
Mhm.
our children. We
Amen.
need to steer them for a minimum of 18 years. Now, don't get me wrong. Some kids, bless you, will be in your pocket up until they're 50 sometimes, right? So, and I mean literally in your pocket, yo, I need this, I need that. But, you know, we can complain about it, but we're still going to do it. Now,
Yeah.
and so that's the thing, right? Each one teach one,
Hmm.
right? Always, if you want your child to be better than you were, okay, that means you have to steer them to a certain direction,
Right.
right? And so steer them, guide them, however you want to call it.
Hmm.
And then even with that, when they turn 18, you can't just give them the keys,
Right.
right? Um, you know, these are still my keys, uh, but I'm gonna let you use them, and I'm gonna sit in the passenger seat now, right? And that's how you have to look at it, especially nowadays. Even though these kids have access to the internet the way that they do, the way that we never had, and they have information within milliseconds, as opposed to us, we had to go look in the local paper or go to the
That work
library.
hard. Yeah.
Right? They still don't understand the knowledge that they're learning. Right? Knowledge is power,
Hmm.
right? The more knowledge you attain, the more powerful you become,
Hmm.
right? Uh, but these kids nowadays, they don't understand the knowledge that they're getting. They don't know how to use it to their benefit.
Manage. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So me and one of my partners was having this conversation the other day. Um, you know, I bought my first car when I was 15 years old,
Hmm.
right? Didn't even have a driver's license, but
Hmm.
it sat in the driveway,
Hmm.
right? Got my driver's license or my permit when I was 16, got my license 2 weeks later.
Hmm.
Uh, and the reason was because I wanted to work. I knew that my parents weren't in a position to get me wherever I was going to find, right? These kids nowadays, well, I mean, of course, cars are more expensive now, but now they want the fly car. You know, they don't want a 10-year-old car or a 15-year-old car. My car was 15 years old, but I didn't care,
Hmm. Right.
right?
It
You
was
know,
yours.
right. But I did it raking leaves, cutting grass, working at Burger King or working at Food Town or Toys R Us. These kids don't want it like that nowadays. You know what I'm saying? And I'm guilty of it. I'll be the first one to tell you I spoil my kids,
Hmm.
you know. But at the same token, I get it. For me, spoiling them was okay. You got a 3.8 or 3.9 GPA, but and you're competing in the athletic sports, so you really can't get a job. But I
Right.
knew what it was to hustle. And for those kids that are not, competing in an after school activity, you know, get out there and get a job.
Right.
Hustle, get your money up
Right.
legally, right? The right
Yeah.
way. These again, they have access to so much information that I personally I don't find it hard to find a job. Now they may not be paying enough money to these kids because the minimum wage is still what seven seventy
Yeah. Still
five.
low. Hmm.
For the last 25 years.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, but again, we had a hustle mentality back then that these
Right.
kids
We had to
today,
get to it. Yeah.
yeah, our generation. In my mind, they say the generation before us was the greatest generation alive. No, my generation, this generation, was the greatest generation alive, right? Because a lot of us became entrepreneurs.
First.
We like this generation, right? 45 and up, we created hip hop,
Right.
which
Right.
is
Right.
the biggest industry in the world right now.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you got these 20 somethings living off of, what we paved the way for.
Yes, sir.
So, and when you look at hip hop, I'm talking about the totality of it, right? Clothing, right? Music, right? Acting. Our generation did all of that. We paved the
Right.
way. you
Mm-hmm.
know? So this generation kind of got it easy and just, very lackadaisical. And the one thing I will say about, and I'll stress this to, the parents that are listening, or if you got some kids listening, um, get yourself a mentor,
Yes.
right? That's
Bar.
the one thing that I live by. Me personally, I got 5 mentors,
Yeah.
and I'm 53,
Right.
and I got 5 mentors, right?
Absolutely.
Spiritual, you
Yep.
know, 2 personal, 2 professional.
Yes, sir.
I can't live without them, and I talk
Yeah.
to them on a regular.
That's the
You know,
one.
what I'm saying? I talk to them on a regular. So you got to get yourself a mentor because you can never stop growing,
Right.
right? As a matter of fact, one of my partners, I was talking to him today. He left a phrase with me. I got to tell you the phrase that he left. Give me 1 second. I gotta pull it up. Diddy. Where you at? Yeah. So my partner said, always in the lab, growing and stretching. Right. That's true. I love that phrase.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said to him, you know, this game of life is the lab,
Come
right?
on.
The game of
Mm-hmm.
life is the lab. Every day is an experiment, right?
Right.
That's what you do in the lab. You experiment. And on top of that, I said, just gotta know mistakes are only learning lessons,
Yeah. There's
right?
no L's. There's lessons. That's
Mandela
it.
said it also, right? I got a shirt that says, I never lose.
Mm-hmm.
I either win or I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna learn.
That's it.
It's as simple as that,
I'm gonna learn. That's it.
right? There is no losing. It's only a lesson.
Oh yeah, you're gonna learn something. You're gonna
Yeah.
learn today.
Let me tell you something. Babies learn at 2 weeks old.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. When have you ever seen a baby make a mistake? Right? Real
Listen,
talk.
babies learning while they developing in that stomach. They hear music because mom is always rocking out to music. They come out musically adjusting themselves when they hear music. So
Yeah.
they learn it before they even hit the earth. So you
Literally.
gotta be
Literally.
constantly learning and growing.
Literally.
Love that. Love
So
that.
and I'll say this too about we've been talking about me giving back, right?
Mm-hmm.
You always want to give back to your community.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what kind of, upbringing you had, you still have to give back to your community, right? Um, especially the kids,
Right.
especially the kids. And
Yeah.
what I'll say about this, right? I'm gonna say this, and you can finish it off,
Mm-hmm.
right? What did Jesus say? The only way to get through the Father is through one of these, which is the kids,
Mm-hmm.
or through me, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to take care of these kids,
Yeah.
right? You have to understand who the creator is, who the father is, and you got to understand what these kids are at the same time,
Absolutely.
right? Um, Old dirty bastard, man. I love him. What he say? We for the kids, man. We for the kids.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But that's how I
Gotta
look
do it.
at
We
it.
gotta do it.
Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, do I wish my father, didn't do what he did? Of course I did, Yeah, I wish he was still here for this.
Right.
Do I wish my coach, the coach never kicked me out of his class and got me on the squad? Yes, of course I did. But I got to thank them at the same time
Got you. Yeah.
because I'm doing what they didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They put me on the direction to
Mm-hmm.
to do what I'm doing
To be
right now.
better.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So, again, every kid has potential, even your community, right? You help these kids grow up, put back into their community and just be a bright star.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what do you say? Um, this is gonna be my last question. Then you can share where people can contact you, connect to the track, and or I would love for people to learn more about broadband. You know what I'm saying? Because you said something that got me a little bit. My brain is thinking that, you have to have a certain amount of schooling and years and all this stuff. And you like, I just kept getting certifications. You know what I'm saying? So that taught me something tonight. So I definitely want you to tap into that. But I wanted you to share really quick.
Well, you know what that means, right?
What's that?
You got to bring me back.
Yeah, exactly. 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 I'm with it already. I'm already with it. You already know. You know what the vibes are. But I wanted you to share your take on what you would say to our men of today. I keep sharing that I'm disheartened and saddened that we're now seeing an influx of our men taking their own lives and suicide. There's been such an influx of not just our men killing themselves, but killing their spouses and their baby mamas and then taking their own lives. What do you say to the hearts of our men? And
So,
close out.
I mean, this is real talk, right? Now it's about to get deep. I was with my ex for almost 20 years, right? From 98. We met in 98, married in 2000, separated in 2018, divorced in 2020, right? Um, and I guess through no fault of our own. You know what I mean? It wasn't from any extracurricular stuff. We kind of went separate ways, right? And that's real talk. She'll tell you that. You know who she is.
Yeah,
She'll tell
I love
you.
tea.
Uh, but when that happened, I have plenty of people that I could speak to about it. I have a number of close friends that knew about what my situation was. Um, but I still felt like something was missing, right? So now I got to get deep with our brothers out there. I had to seek therapy,
Right.
right? Um, I had 15 sessions, and I'm not, embarrassed or ashamed, to talk about it. I literally had to figure out, like, again, I don't like to lose,
Yeah.
and me getting divorced was like me taking an L,
Yeah.
you know. So I had to understand, you know, um, who I was and what I was doing. And again, it wasn't through any fault of my own or any fault of her own. We just, you know, uh, kind of went separate ways. But during my sessions, that's the other thing I tell every black man out there: get you a black woman therapist. Well, let me tell you, woo,
Say that again because you kind of went out. What you say?
get you a black woman therapist. All these men out here, don't get no white man, don't get no brother. Get you a black woman therapist. When she made me feel like my stuff really stunk, I'm gonna tell you, I tell you no lies, man. Woo.
Some
But
reality for you.
yeah, real reality check, man. And the thing about it was I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about black men in general, right?
Mm,
That's going to see a shrink, therapist, psychologist is taboo,
right.
right? For black men. No, it's not taboo, right? If you want to be the best you can be, you have to seek guidance still. Even, and I said it, I have 5 mentors, but I still needed, my mentors are not clinically certified to tell me, you know, how I should feel emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that was the thing. I was going through a lot of stress at the time because I was getting divorced. This was 2019. I was getting divorced. My brother, cousin, but brother Chris, passed away at 49 years old. And, me going through the separation and not being in the house with my kids, it was really tugging at me. I didn't know that I was stressed out, but my therapist told me that I was stressed out because of everything that I was going through. And so she actually, opened up Pandora's box in me, right? And and put me on Front Street. Really, I had to, like I had everything that my father did. I kind of shut down. You know what I mean? So I had to revisit that, and that's what happens with a lot of black men nowadays. You know, what they're doing now is, um, it's a learned, it's a learned personality or it's a learned trait, right? Um, they got it from somewhere in the family, or somebody allowed them to think that it's okay for you to do what you're doing and
Right.
be who you are being, right? Um, and if they didn't get it from someone in the family, then they're flying by the seat of their pants. You know what I mean? So they really don't understand who they are.
Right.
And, it's like this. Most men, uh, from 0 to 20, are, in the jungle, right? From 20 to 40, they're figuring out how to get out the jungle. From 40, somewhere in between, they've gotten out the jungle, right? And are figuring their way around the jungle or outside of the jungle. But at some point, you turn around and you take a look back at that jungle, you give thanks. And now, like me, I went through that phase. I was in the jungle my first 20 years, my next 20 years, I figured out how to get out the jungle. Now, in my next 20 years, I want to go back to the jungle and create a city out of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But most men don't get that, they
Chance.
don't get that experience or understanding.
Hmm.
And so again, it comes through mentorship, and it comes through, seeking therapy to understand who you really are,
Right.
right? So my therapist helped me to understand who I really am, uh, for myself, for my for my children, and the woman that's in my life right now. And this is the one thing, and I apologize to my ex, right? I always have to apologize to my ex because, unfortunately, I didn't seek therapy while I was with her.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
should have, right?
Hmm.
But I got it after her, and my lady now is getting the best of me.
Right. Right. Right.
So, and the one thing that I learned through therapy is, and all men will learn this, is you can say that you love a woman till you're blue in the face, right? But are you loving that woman the way that she
Come on.
deserves to be loved,
Hmm.
right? Are you? And listen, let me cut to the chase. I got to give Butters his props, right? Because when we were together, was it last month or the month before? I think it was 2 months ago, right? Was it? It was
What,
January.
January?
Yeah. When I caught up with you guys in January, I watched Butter, and that man queens you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So I love that. And I know your story. I
Yeah.
know, how long it took and all of this, that, and the third. And I gotta say, based off of what I saw outside looking in,
Right.
that man queens you.
Right.
Right. So props to him.
Appreciate that.
And but I will say this, right? I had to learn, like again, I told my ex-wife, yeah, I love you. I love you till I'm blue in the face.
Hmm.
But I don't know if I loved her the way that she not only needed to be loved, but deserved to be loved.
Yeah.
Right. So apologize to her for that. On
Right.
the other hand, the woman that I'm with right now, which I love her to death, she allows me to be completely me. The,
Hmm.
that dude from Wyandanch.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And uh, I will say she gets amazed at the way that I treat her.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel that way with my kids, man. I love my kids, my daughters, because I am a girl dad, the way that they need to be loved,
Hmm.
right? You got to take the blinders off and look deep into that woman that's in front of you.
Right.
You have to constantly have conversations and ask the questions. How was your day? What do you need? What are you missing? You know what I mean? And it's not always the little things,
Right.
right? Like, granted, I took her to Paris for Valentine's Day.
Hmm.
That was a big thing, but it was the little things that we did while we was there that she cared.
Right. Right.
She didn't really care that she loved it that we was there, but at the same token, it's the little things
Hmm.
that,
It's in the details.
yes, it's in the details. So every black man out there listening, you gotta know who you are, right? First, you don't need to be in a relationship and having any kids, and you don't know who you are,
Right.
right? If you don't know who you are, if you don't know where you are, and if you don't know where you're going, you can't drive no household.
Say that one.
Period.
Hmm.
You cannot drive no household. You have to understand who you are as a being. And then once you understand that, right, you can't get there just by doing random stuff. You gotta have a relationship with the creator.
Yeah.
Period. Point blank.
Love that. Love
That's
that.
what I tell all black men.
Hmm.
Have that relationship with
Hmm.
with your creator first and foremost.
Yeah.
Understand who you are. And then when you are ready to have kids, and be in a relationship, then you can move forward. And that's the
Absolutely.
other thing I will tell these women out here too, right? Tell these women that a man is only going to treat you the way you require him to treat you,
That's it.
right? If you don't make it known to him what your wants and needs are, it's not going to happen, right? If you don't require him to open the door for you, he
Hmm.
won't open that door. If
Right.
you don't, require him to hold your hand while you're going down the stairs, he's not going to do it.
We
So
teach people how to treat us. Hmm.
exactly, you have to require a man, or you have to require a man to treat you the way that you want to be treated. If not, no.
Right.
And I'll leave it at that.
Love that. Love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I wanted you to first of all tell people um I'm stuck on the company. I really learned tonight.
My
I
bad.
really
But
did.
look, I'm gonna be back in a
No, that's
couple
a
of
good
months.
thing. That's a good thing for sure. That's a good thing. So if people want to reach you and have more questions, how can they reach out to you? Not well for track as well. Give us the name of the track team, information for that, and then share maybe your phone, your email, if people have questions about broadband.
Right. So the email is Kenneth.jones at broad-light.com. Right. That's the company name. Right. Kenneth.jones at
All
broad-light.com.
right, spell Kenna.
Kenneth, Kenneth.
Oh, Kenneth.
Yeah, Kenneth. Yeah, it's the New York. I'm sorry. We don't say Kenneth. We say Kenneth.
Right, Kenneth.
But
Right.
yeah, so yeah, they can reach me at my email,
Okay.
Kenneth.jones at broadlight.com. And as far as lightning spikes, we take them all from the age of 6 on up, 6 to 18, long as you're in school.
Hmm.
And that's lightningspikes.com, Lightning Spikes Track Club. Um, and yeah, I mean, just reach out to me. If you have questions about track, holla at me. If you have questions about the telecommunications industry, holla
Yeah.
at me. If there's someone out there that's a prime, and I say so, prime is a word that we use in the telecom industry, right? You have big companies like Verizon, AT&T, Comcast. They don't do their own work.
Okay.
right? What they do is they hire vendors, and
Right.
those vendors are called primes,
Okay.
right? Those primes will then turn around and hire sub vendors, which that's where we come in,
Okay.
right? So, and it's everything is about a middleman.
Hmm.
Like I said, I'm trying to get us to a point where there is no middleman. We just, we're the ones that,
You get into it. Yeah.
yeah, that come in and do it. If you want a case study done, if you need engineering done, if you need design work done, hell, I got a construction crew, an aerial construction crew. So if you need construction work done, let us know. If it's not too far, we don't have to drag the trucks, out to California.
Right.
Holler at me. We'll get it done.
Love that. Love that. Love that. Love that. Listen, Mr. Jones, love you to pieces. This was awesome. Like I knew it would be. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for reminding all of us to make sure we going to God, when we make moves and when we're doing the things that we're doing. Thank you for reminding us to stay involved or get involved with the youth, with our community, especially when we made it out. We
Yeah,
got to do our due diligence. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? We got to pay it forward and remind somebody like, listen, I see that look in your eye. I would look just like that at your age. It's going to get better. You know what I'm saying? I
exactly.
push through so you can push through. We got to get involved, with our community. Thank you so much for speaking to the heart of our men. Shout out to all the girl dads as well.
That
Shout out to all the husbands holding down their wives and the wives holding down their husbands because we are who creates the community. We are the community. So, thank you for all you shared, connected to your company. And also reminding us that God gives us who we need through relationships. You wouldn't have the company if you didn't build these certain relationships connected to how you got to this place in Atlanta. So, we want to be intentional with our relationships, not just with man and woman, but friendships, networking, business wise. Networking is life. Networking is
life.
life. Yeah, networking is life. You heard him mention that somebody needing a job, he'll just call Idaho because he knows somebody's out there that he knows. So, you want to be building healthy relationships and you want to make sure that it is God leading you in everything you do. So thank you so much once again for coming on here. Um, any last words, quote, anything to people that we could close out in real life this time?
Yeah, what I will say again is faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
If you believe, what they say, ask and you shall receive.
Receive. Yeah.
Um, but you got to put back, right?
Mhm.
And understand that even if you have $10 and you give away $5, guess what? You're gonna get that $10 back tenfold.
Yeah.
That I believe in, right? So don't always say, people ask all the time, yo, can I get this or can I get that? A lot of times I don't even say, yo, when am I gonna get it back? I just, you know, give it away and knowing that I'm not gonna get it back from you, but I'm gonna get it back from the creator.
Yeah. That's
You
it.
know,
That's
and
it.
so, again, faith without works is dead.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
got to believe, and then you got to put the work in at the same time.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's what I would tell you. And also, you got to give back to your community.
Yeah.
I must stress, and it don't have to be the community that you grew up in.
Right.
Be the community that you live in right now.
Right.
Right? Give back to your community. I promise you, all of that's going to come back to you in the long run.
Hmm.
Right? That's. I'll leave. Well, I need to leave with another one, and let's circle back to this one again. It's Habakkuk 2,
Hmm.
right? 2 through 3.
Hmm.
Everybody has visions, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has dreams.
Oh, they should.
Now,
Should have vision.
your interpretation of it may be different,
Hmm.
but whatever it is, write it down.
Yeah.
Write it down. right? Because it will come back to you in the long run, right? Again, the joke on me was I told my creator I wanted $1 million, right? And I'm fussing and fighting with him. But when I look back over the last, 10 years, I'm like, wow, man, you really put that in my face? Come on, how you do that to me? But
So I see a lot.
when you ask for it, put some specificity to
Yeah.
it, right? He's not going to turn you down, right? As long as you're doing the work, as long as you're putting in the work, you're going to get it. I promise you that. I've
Yeah.
had I've had so many, um, ups and downs in my life and in my career, especially in my early career, 0 to 20, being in that jungle, right? But I can honestly say that, and as humble as possible, I can say it, I'm the lion now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and that's a good thing. So, again, you got a vision, write it down. It's
Yeah.
to you, get that relationship started with your creator,
Yes.
right? And don't have it loosely, right? Because again, your friendships are based off of your relationship with your creator. At least that's what I believe,
Right.
right? If you got a loose relationship with them, then you got loose relationships with your earthly, people here,
Yeah.
right? If
Love
you have
that.
an awesome relationship with them, then you have awesome relationships with your people here.
Right.
So again, he is my father. He is my best friend. He is my confidant. He is my judge and jury.
Yeah.
Simple as that. So that's what I will leave with everybody.
Love that. Listen, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Listen, Mr. Kenny Jones of Wyandanch to Atlanta. We can't leave NY to Atlanta. Doing
Facts.
this thing, owner of Broad Light LLC, certified, what is it? Certified coach. What is it?
That's right. USATF level 1 certified track and field coach.
Yeah.
That's
All of
it.
that. All of that. Listen, you have questions connected to anything that he shared on tonight, please email him, shout him out. Do you want people to know your Instagram page or that's just personal?
It's personal for right now. I'm
Okay.
gonna work on getting it out there.
Okay.
I'm making moves right now.
Yeah, we're gonna have to help you step it up. We're gonna help you
Yeah.
step it up because people, if for people to support, they're gonna have to know you out here. They're gonna have to know you.
So I'll say this. Actually, Z and I are about to start working on a lifestyle page.
Nice.
As you know, we travel a
Now
lot.
travel, love that. Absolutely.
Yeah, last year we was in Mexico and all throughout the U.S. and then we started the year off with Paris.
Paris, right.
We had a couple of other trips planned.
That's a good look, cuz
So
that's a good look.
yeah, so we're going to start this lifestyle page, and then we'll be giving information about where we're going to, what you can actually do.
Love
Right,
it.
we're not going to be these Instagram models doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
this is real life, okay?
yeah, real life.
Love that.
So
Love that. That's dope. That's dope. I can't wait
yeah,
for that. Can't wait for
yes,
that one. Yeah.
it's coming. We've been working on it. We just been bad,
Yeah.
but
That's right up your alley for sure. I like that.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
good. And that's another bag too. These people getting paid to be doing this stuff on social media. So let's go. Let's go.
Listen, I'm
Let's
listen. I'm like Bugs Bunny. Anytime somebody says something, and I hear about it, I got dollar signs going off
right,
my.
right, right.
You know,
You know the vibes. You know I'm
for
hello, listen,
real,
you know the vibes over here as well.
for
We're
real,
gonna
for
find a
real.
way to monetize now. We're gonna enjoy
There it is.
ourselves and make money. That's
Listen,
how
you
you
got
do
to
it.
have multiple streams in order to
That's
live nowadays.
that's a
So you
fact.
already,
That's
you
a
got to have
fact.
multiple
But
streams.
yes, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Thank you for coming on this particular series, the Men Where Art Thou series. This month has just been blessing me so much. Just want to thank every king, every male, every man that blessed this platform. Listen, y'all stories have just needed at this time because there is a lot going on in our community. So thank you so much. I do not take it lightly that you took out time to share your story. And for the next thing you got going on, we probably have you up here again. Sharing with
Yeah, I'm gonna be looking forward to getting back. Give me about 6 months. I got some things working,
we're
as
gonna
far
hold you to
as
it.
what me and the lady got going on, and then what Broadlight and I got going on as
Let's
well.
do it. Let's do it.
All right.
He said faith
It,
without works is dead, y'all.
there it is. There it is. And
That's the
look,
one.
I'm gonna be up there next month. We're gonna break bread.
Love it, love it, love it. Listen, everybody, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Hot Mic with Lady She Podcast. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. That is Hot Mic Lady She _ podcast on Instagram. You can also follow me on Facebook. That is Hot Mic with Lady She Podcast on Facebook. You can also follow my other business page, which is She's Got Teas. Don't forget the S. That is one word on Instagram, and it is She's Got Teas comma LLC on Facebook. Any questions or any subjects you would like for us to talk about or bring forth for the people, whether you want me to bring it on the podcast or go live, you can email me at hotmicwshe podcast. I'm sorry, hot mic lady she at gmail.com and share your thoughts, your concerns. Thank you so much, everyone, and I will see you next week because I'm on vacation with my kids. So I'll see you next week for Mr. Dave Santiago. This is going to be interesting. He's dope too. Everybody up here has been just amazing in their own right, and I'm just enjoying myself and just thankful to everybody who's been supporting thus far. This is my 48th episode, y'all. I can't believe it. This is different. Like real talk. I can't believe it. Every time I put episode 40 something, I'm like 40 something. How does this happen? But we are inching to the number 50, and I've been doing this, I think, 5 months or 6 months or something. And I'm in awe of what God is doing. Like my cousin said, like Kenneth.Jones just said, make sure you are in tune with your creator. Make sure you are keeping God first, and God is the center of everything you are doing. All right, that's all we got tonight. Kenny, love you. Speak to you soon. Everybody, good night. Thank you for coming on, and make sure you subscribe. It is free. I promise you it's free. All right, everybody have a good night.
All right,